The Orient Express and the route it takes from Istanbul east to west is a wondrous one, and to feel the miles under you as you travel is incredible. And Agatha Christie invites the audience to do the same thing and to have some fun with a Poirot who's on holiday. So he's a little lighter-hearted at the beginning of the story, but in a way that he has not encountered. She puts him in front of what he characterizes as evil on this train. And it's an evil that he begins to understand is wrapped up in another mystery and another murder from the past, and where the depth of feeling, the crime of passion that this might represent, of a certain kind of revenge, takes the story to a very dark place, I think, a very human place, but unsettling and uneasy for him, and not full of easy, witty, intellectual solutions. It carries a much more grey area of moral complexity and emotional sensitivity. You get surprised, but not just in your head. You get really surprised in your heart. Agatha Christie, I think, has real relish in storytelling and in the kind of structure that gives you a glamorous location, then that moving location confined, trapped dramatically, and then a group of unlikely companions, a tangle of strangers, as the screenplay would have it, locked together for days, produces the possibility of dramatic conflict, humor, and tension in such a sort of compressed and sort of volcanic way that if you add into that violent crime, it's a very potent combination. She seems to absolutely relish what that does. She is expert at bringing depth with economy to the observation of the characters and making them distinct and colorful but believable. And I think she enjoys the dazzle of that. But here you have glamour, you have snow and bad weather, you have elegance and an age of romance in travel, and you have murder. Ratchet's played by Johnny Depp, who brings a wonderful, for this character, a wonderful seedy glamour to this very sharp-minded, clearly dangerous, and clever mobster. We don't know in the end whether he is a good or a bad man, but we know that someone thinks the latter, and Johnny's performance is dark, is dangerous, and it is very funny. Michelle Pfeiffer, who is a very, very beautiful woman and a consummate actress, has such fun with the detail of it. She charts the sort of inner loneliness of what Agatha Christie knew well, the challenges of being a woman alone and traveling in difficult circumstances. Once on the Orient Express with all its glamour in the golden age of travel, it was different. But to travel in the Far East at that time was a challenging thing. And so the intrepidness, the pioneer that is Christie, is in Caroline Hubbard, but with Michelle Pfeiffer, who's a tremendous comedian, there's also a wonderful sense of fun. And she conveys the terror of someone who knows what it's like to have someone in their room late at night when there is a murderer on the loose. Masterman appears to be entirely obedient and subservient and very English and very polite, but in Derek's hands, he's played more as a Bateman from the military with a Cockney swagger and a no-nonsense demeanor. So we understand that he can be very kind and very solicitous and is very strict about performing his duty, but we also know him to be something of a tough guy himself. So he is a man with a beautiful question mark over him, and Derek Jacobi, with whom I've worked many times, has the ability to play and suggest many layers of dimension behind that kind of person. He is apparently nervous individual, certainly well-traveled, scholarly. He trained as a lawyer. He has many languages. He has legal expertise, but he is not a happy man. And he is prone to excess appetites. He seems to drink and smoke a little more than is good for him. And he seems unsettled, nervous, if you like. Josh Gad has a fantastic naturalism in the part. We know how funny Josh can be, and because he's very musical as well. Here he plays something with great simplicity and vulnerability. McQueen is someone who feels in some way as though some damage or some wounds have occurred in his life that Josh, as in the performance, seems to wear very lightly. It makes him very intriguing, and it makes the little trio of Ratchet, Masterman, and McQueen, Johnny Depp, Josh Gad, Derek Jacobi, a very, very tight-knit but also sort of conflicted group. So they're a very electrifying trio. Manuel Garcia Rulfo is a terrific actor, terrific Mexican actor who has a wonderful warmth and kindness, and of course you warm to him. He's a very attractive character and personality, and he talks in this story a lot about his family and what he's getting back to, and about having become a self-made man in America. And yet he seems to harbor a secret. He isn't always entirely straightforward, and that becomes clear early on. And once on the back foot, we worry about quite when or if he's telling the truth. And it's a lovely performance of keeping the audience, of keeping Poirot guessing as to whether he's as genuine and compassionate a man as we think, or whether there may be far more to him than meets the eye. I think Dame Judi Dench had a whale of a time playing Dragomirov's imperious, contemptuous, superior arrogance and disgust at most of what went on around her, which was never as she liked it, never quick enough, never soon enough, never hot enough, never nice enough. And when she wasn't sort of complaining about what wasn't right, she was demanding that her dogs, unhygienically almost everywhere on that train, be looked after. It allows for a chance to see a character very stern and very forbidding, but also naughty and funny. And Judi Dench is somebody who can play all of those things with great delight. And when she enters the picture and when you see her on screen, you know that she is someone who can be formidable and funny and be very secret and hidden. She seems to be possessed of an impervious skin so thick as to not be broken and squashed by what would probably traduce most other people, which makes you think that she has a sort of secret and hidden strength, or dare I say it, does she have something over the princess? Does she know something we don't? We know that she's polite, and we know that she's clearly intelligent, but she's quiet. She's discreet to the point of making you wonder whether she has really a lot to hide. Still waters run deep, and with Olivia Colman, of course, you just in repose, you see this woman listening, and you are intrigued and compelled. She also seems to, under stress, as they all do, seem to suggest a capacity for, dare I say it, violence, that means she's another character whom we have to sort of watch with eyes in the back of our head. He is arrogant and proud of himself, has a favorite subject to talk about, which is himself, his capacity to lecture and to understand the military properties of Bakelite, a subject upon which others are not as engrossed as he is. And so he, whether it's a pose or not, is ready to impose himself and bore some people and infuriate others. He's a provocateur. He's a dangerous individual because he sets other. He's a catalyst to make other people argue and sometimes bring them into conflict. So he seems to have some game that he's playing that we are to find out about, but it does not seem necessarily pleasant or kind. Daisy Ridley brought a terrific modernity, because that's what Agatha Christie seems to be, a very modern woman. Everything about her own biography is trailblazing, really. And Daisy is a very sharp, intelligent, funny, engaged, interested, really questioning and curious person. And I feel that appetite for interest in other people and things is something that she really had. So she brings that to it. It makes Mary Debenham full of energy, very, very forward-looking and thinking, and rather a new and daring individual, but funny and smart. Certainly someone with real courage. You feel that she perhaps is somebody who might be prepared to do something very extreme if she believed that it was the right thing to do. Leslie Odom Jr. has this wonderful intimacy and warmth and compassion in the sort of atmosphere of him. He was such a wonderful hit in the musical Hamilton, playing with great tenderness, moments and in his character, sensitivity about people and things and ideas. And so he brings to Dr. Arbuthnot both what you might expect from a doctor, but also more the soul of a romantic. And that romantic disposition is something that may well be at work and in the service of one of the other characters on the train. Lucy, who is a very, very beautiful and talented actress, really found a way to inhabit this character's loneliness and isolation and to intrigue us as to what the reason for that was. So we see her early on, very keen to know more about her, and then we're denied by the story and by Agatha Christie, but it intensifies the shock when we do see her, and she manages to, even inside a very, very dark part of the story, have a kind of playfulness with the character, and particularly with Poirot, whom she finds absolutely ridiculous. Quite a lot of fun. The Count Andreni is a dancer, a magnificent dancer, and we were very fortunate to be able to cast Sergei Polunin, who is a magnificent dancer, and that capacity for movement of a certain kind, especially through a violence that we see expressed in this character, makes him very distinct. So you really get the sense of the performer that is, because there's a grace and a danger and a deftness about the way he moves that is very electrifying, very unsettling. He has the sort of Slavic kind of soulfulness that makes you feel strongly that were you to go anywhere near his woman, in this case, there would be trouble afoot. And indeed, there is trouble afoot for Poirot when he necessarily needs to investigate the pair of them. Bouc is the life and soul of the party. During the course of the film, he's forced to grow up, if you like, his innocence taken away by suddenly being responsible for a train on which a terribly violent crime has occurred, and where a train has also been stuck in the mountains. It's a crisis for him, where he may lose his job, and where, if this murderer stays on the loose, he may lose his life. He becomes the assistant, and then I think you might say the partner of Poirot during the solving of this crime, and matures a great deal. And Tom Bateman's performance has wonderful, easy, light, debonair charm, and then a gravitas that's born out of having to face a very dark situation and see it for what it's worth. So it's a lovely, lovely performance, and to have somebody who with whom one had such a good rapport as he and I was really very pleasing to play, and you could be very natural and instinctive and intimate in the scenes that they play together. And I think Tom Bateman is another one of the younger actors in our company who I think is just a terrific, terrific prospect.